welcome. My name's Mark Allen. I'm an Economic Development Manager here at Brent Council. I just wanted to say a few words as we kind of kick off this UK SPF training webinar. We're delighted to have commissioned Brent and Chris McNeil to deliver some business support. We're keen to support the Brent businesses in as many possible ways as we can. And this is just one of the many business support opportunities that we have here at the council. If you'd like to get involved in further opportunities to work with us, I'm going to drop our email address into the chat. So any business related queries that you have, feel free to reach out. That's simply business@brent.gov.uk. Like I say, that'll be in the chat in a moment. But I'm not going to take up any more of your time, so I'm going to hand over to Chris McNeil from Brandywin, who is going to deliver this webinar on behalf of the council. So over to you, Chris.
Well, great. Thank you very much, Mark. Hello, my name is Chris McNeil. Welcome to the audience on this first of a series of 3 webinars helping you sell online. Tonight's webinar is specifically around selling on Amazon. It will be approximately an hour long. We will have a moment towards the end of the webinar to deal with some questions that are arising. But part of the service that we are offering is some direct one-to-one support, and there'll be more details on that towards the end of the presentation. What I would ask you to do, please, is if there's a particular slide or a particular topic that resonates well with you and is something that you've been curious about selling on Amazon, please make a note of that, and then we can discuss that in greater detail if you book a one-to-one with me at some point after this webinar. So allow me to start, and we'll kick things off now. So as I say, this is the first of 3 presentations on e-commerce and selling online. This particular presentation focuses on selling on Amazon. I'd like to introduce a little bit about myself. As I say, my name is Chris McNeil. I'm a Canadian. I've been here for 22 years. I live in central London. And my background with .com and e-commerce actually extends back 30 years, back to 1994. That predates Amazon, it predates eBay, it predates a lot of the other fancy services that we have today. And it's really given me a very good solid grounding in this space. I do sell on Amazon myself and have done for about a decade. We had a record year a couple of years ago, 100,000 orders during that year. So that was very successful, and we've branched out to other marketplaces as well. Some of those we'll be talking about in the next webinar in 2 weeks' time. As I say, I live in central London. I do a lot of IT consultancy, e-commerce consultancy, but also I deliver walking tours of London, which helps me get to understand the city very well. And I'm also a freeman of the City of London. So that's a little bit about me and what I do in my spare time. So our agenda today, I've just flashed that up on the screen here. So we're going to be looking at an overview of the Amazon marketplace and key opportunities there. We look at Amazon setup differences between individual and pro accounts, optimizing seller profile descriptions. That's a key element not only of the Amazon marketplace, but any other marketplace that you might want to be selling on. And basically, how does Amazon work with regards to stock and selling out and shipping out the products that you've got available for sale? That's FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, or FBM, fulfilled by merchant. We'll discuss that a little bit further on in the webinar. Look at a few light pricing strategies and some competitive pricing tools, things like promotions. What are some of the bells and whistles that Amazon offers to help you be that much more successful in selling on their marketplace? Some issues around customer service and dealing with those. And then obviously reporting and checking your KPIs and your sales growth and so on, what sort of features and tools are available to you. And then, of course, we'll end with Q&A. This is very much a whistle-stop tour. There's a lot of detail. It's a huge, huge marketplace. All that detail can't be covered in just a 1-hour presentation. But like I do say, if there is anything of specific interest to you, please do let me know, in our one-to-one, which you can book with me after this session. And again, details to follow on how to do that. So, overview of the Amazon Marketplace. I'm sure that you've had some experience with Amazon already. Potentially, you bought products there, had it delivered. Potentially, you've availed yourselves of some of their other services, media services, video services, etc. Maybe you're already selling on Amazon and want to scale up your business or open up into other marketplaces. You know that Amazon is a huge ecosystem. It's a $1 trillion organization. It's absolutely massive and present in practically 24 countries around the world: UK, Germany, France, Spain, United States, Canada, just to name a few. There are plenty others. So if you're selling into one marketplace on Amazon, it is a relatively easy process to upscale and sell into other marketplaces. By that, I mean, if you start in the UK and you're doing well in the UK and you want to branch out into Europe, you might then consider going into Germany, France, Spain, and some of the other European marketplaces, or indeed across the Atlantic over into Canada and the US. I say it's easy in the sense that they've made a huge investment in making a consistent architecture and a consistent kind of look and feel available to sellers all the way around the world. But of course, there are a couple of matters that need to be dealt with along the way, which another time we can discuss in greater detail. Amazon attracts something like 410 million active customers around the world. And like I say, if you've bought anything and everything from Amazon, anything as maybe small as, I don't know, pens and pencils for your offices, straight through to maybe larger electronics equipment or even furniture from home or even further afield, you know that they have an absolutely high standard for customer service. If you've ever engaged in Amazon customer service as a customer, you can very quickly see their model, their catchphrase, where they want to be the world's most customer-centric organization. They're really, really out to support the customer, which is a good thing because as sellers, that raises the standard for us, that raises the bar for how we sell, the quality of products, the pricing that we offer, the way that we advertise, the way that we get products to customers, and how we handle any customer queries that may come up as a result. It does raise the bar for us. And one of the reasons why we're leading this series of webinars with Amazon is because, frankly, if you can be a success on Amazon, then other marketplaces will adopt a lot of those same kind of structures that you'll put into place, and it'll be easier to be a success on some of those other marketplaces and platforms that you might consider selling on. So there are some key opportunities available on Amazon. One, obviously, is the massive consumer demand, which we've just spoken about pretty much around the world. Another one is Amazon marketing, and we might touch on this a little bit further in the discussion around the tools and features that Amazon has available to us as sellers to influence the sales that we can get. Very clearly, as I mentioned before, Amazon is already ever present in a lot of people's lives and a lot of people's day-to-day activities. So there's a strong element of trust. If your product is on the Amazon network, there is an appreciation of trust there, that the consumer can look at your product and say, yeah, this is probably something of quality. If I have any questions, I know that I can go back to Amazon as an escalation point if that's absolutely needed. Marketing in terms of paid for advertising, vouchers, sales promotions, they handle all of that. And these are relatively easy and simple tools for us as sellers to implement. Infrastructure, absolutely fantastic infrastructure. You know, if you bought something on Amazon, potentially you get a same-day delivery, and in some rare cases, depending on where you live. Also, it is possible to get next day and specified date deliveries. You can pick up products in Amazon lockers, which are these large yellow lockers that we see in petrol stations and shopping malls and so on. So maybe you don't have the flexibility to receive a parcel from home. You can nominate a specific other destination where you can receive that parcel securely and go and collect it. Similarly, the architecture, the infrastructure within their warehouses, or what they call the fulfillment centers, is frankly space age. They've got robotics, they've got very advanced AI, artificial intelligence, that is helping with the pick, pack, and ship process of these different products. And in fact, as a, sort of an aside, from time to time, Amazon warehouses do offer public tours for members of the public. And I would suggest that if you can book onto one of those tours, absolutely do go and visit a warehouse, maybe at Hemel Hempstead or someplace slightly further afield, during their public tour times. And you get to see firsthand just how your products could be stored and picked and packaged and shipped out to the end consumer. Well, there are a number of ways that you can be driving traffic, sales, and most importantly, reviews on Amazon. One of those is through qualified shoppers. So people who buy on Amazon tend to have a little bit more disposable income, tend to be looking to a marketplace that will solve whatever need that they have. I'm sure you've had this experience that you can type in practically any keyword, any product name, and be presented with hundreds, if not thousands, of matching results. It's almost overwhelming, but at least you have the variety of choice there. So you've got shoppers that are keen to go onto Amazon. I've heard it said often that if a shopper is going on Google, they're going to research. If they're going on Amazon, their intent is to actually buy. So you've got that little extra degree of qualification. Of course, Amazon does offer that wonderful filtering process, and they send out email reminders of potentially products that might match previous products because they deem that you might have an interest in a particular category and a particular theme of book or whatnot. So they're doing a lot of marketing really on our behalf. There are different types of sales opportunities. I alluded to this just in the previous slide in terms of discounted sales. So if you want to test different pricing options, if you want to have buy one, get one vouchers or buy one and get a certain percentage off price, there are these tools and levers that exist that will help you attract additional sales on Amazon. And of course, we come back to the trusted reviews that we have on Amazon. Amazon are very, very strict with who they permit to actually leave reviews. I'm sure you've seen product reviews that are from verified purchases or unverified purchases. So right there's a distinction between, yeah, I'd like to leave a review because I bought this product someplace else, and hey, I feel one way or another about the product. Or indeed, actually, yes, I bought it through Amazon. I had the whole fulfillment experience. I received the product, I'm using the product, and I feel qualified to leave a product of some nature on it. A product review, rather. What I'd like to do is go a little bit into account setup. So we're not going to go into the minutiae of your account setup. That'll be slightly different for every new seller. But just to tell you about the categories, broadly speaking, you've got two types of seller on Amazon. And I mentioned earlier that Amazon is a vast, vast marketplace with all sorts of services, media services, video, books, Kindle, food delivery services, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on. We're talking specifically about a subset of Amazon, which is called Seller Central. Now, chances are, if you have ordered any product off of Amazon, chances are you have bought it from a third-party seller on Amazon. That could be a relatively small business operating perhaps out of home, or it could be a very large household name brand that is chosen to sell on Amazon. Now, the smaller businesses, individual micro businesses, people just trying things out to see how the Amazon marketplace works, might choose to register as an individual account. This is a very simple account, easy sign-up process. It's free of charge. It's for low volume sellers. You anticipate selling one or two things a month, for example. The fees are slightly disproportionately high, but you don't pay a monthly subscription fee. The advantage here might be, as I say, if you might want to try selling on Amazon, see what it's like. That's how I started, about 10 years ago, I think it was. starting selling a few things from home, some books that I was no longer interested in keeping, for example, made 1 or 2 sales a month, and basically got the process, got my little workaround and orientation around the Amazon dashboard to see the tools and functionality that might be available to me if I upgraded to another seller account. And that seller account is called a Pro account. So this enables advanced features. The cost is quite accessible, £25 a month plus VAT. That's for one marketplace, so that's just to sell in the UK. There is a slightly increased cost. It's not that much increased cost if you want to sell in multiple marketplaces. So generally, you will open in one marketplace, like the UK, and then have the rest of the EU available to you. Or you'll start in Canada and have Mexico and the United States available to you. Generally, that's how it works. There are exceptions to this rule. But as I say, it is a relatively low cost, depending on the product that you're selling, depending on your profit margins. This cost of £25 a month could be very easily achievable quite quickly, depending on how many sales you're making. But the main point here is that it gives you access to a lot of Amazon's functionality around product promotion and sales and voucher codes and that sort of thing. A Pro account will also give you access to a multi-user account. So if you have a slightly larger team, perhaps you've got a dedicated accountant, perhaps you have a dedicated catalog manager or someone who's responsible for your brand or something like that, you might want to give them access to subsets of your account. So as the account owner, as the owner of your business, you would be going in and starting that Amazon account. You would have access to absolutely everything. And ultimately, you would be responsible for all the activity that happens on that account. But perhaps you want to delegate certain authority to individual members of your team, and you can create multiple users pretty much anywhere in the world. I have a team where I've got a couple of members who are based in the Far East, another one who is based in the United States, and another one in continental Europe. And each one has different roles, and they have access rights to different parts of my Amazon account and different platforms available, to me in the Amazon Marketplace kind of ecosystem. So this is one of the big areas of functionality and flexibility that Amazon does offer. In certain other marketplaces, you might have noticed eBay, that is different. I have not seen the ability to set up a multi-user type of account within eBay. And it's really everyone has access to the same username and password. So I'd like to just take a moment here and ask you to just ponder this review question. Feel free to think about it. Feel free to jot your notes down privately, or if you want to share anything in chat, we can certainly review that towards the end of the webinar. But this is the first of a couple of review questions that we have. And that question is fundamentally, as you start planning to sell on Amazon, one of the first decisions you need to make is what type of account to open. So that would be the individual, the free account with limited access, or the professional account at £25 a month with some greater degree of access. Think about the following factors in relation to your business now and your goals for the future on Amazon. So I realize that we've got a range of businesses. Some of you might be just starting out. Some of you might not have had any e-commerce selling experience at all. Some of you may be professionals already with established accounts, and maybe you're looking to expand outwards. So answer in the way that's right for you. So what are your goals? Current and expected sales volume, number of users who need access to your account. Maybe you've got a large team. Required features and functionality. Maybe you want, or maybe you don't want that ability to set voucher codes and promotional offers and so on and so forth. And fees. There is a cost with all of this. I've only just mentioned the monthly Pro account fee. There will be other fees involved as well. So what is a driving factor for you? So which account type would you start with? Is that individual or professional? Again, make the note maybe privately to yourself or in chat if you like. I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, moving on. So we're now looking at the concept of optimization. As sellers, our ideal goal, our ideal objective is for every single person who views our sales page, our product page, to buy. Wouldn't that be wonderful? We have 100 viewers and 100 purchases. That would be fantastic. Well, unfortunately, life doesn't work like that. We all know that. So we need to be looking at how do we optimize our Amazon business and the products and the product pages and the advertising and so on to ensure that we can get as close to that one-to-one relationship as possible. It may not be one-to-one. It may not even be 1 to 100. It may not be 1 to 10,000. But let's get as close as we can as possible and use the tools that Amazon makes available for us. Well, the first thing is your shop's logo, descriptions, and your policies. Now, on Amazon, if you're a seller, if you're a pro seller, you have the option to go into the brand registry, and I'll get to that in a moment. If you're not brand registered, you will by default have a template page that Amazon sets up that says your company name. Let's say your company is ABC Sellers. ABC Sellers is committed to the highest level of customer service, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a structured Amazon page with an existing template there. You can go in and you can clarify that, and you've got a certain scope to add specific content there. So for example, you can apply your shop's logo, personalize it a bit. Your address, your customer service email, your customer service phone number. You're getting a little bit more personalized at that point. You can maybe put in a description. Maybe you might be a brand new seller on Amazon, but you've actually got a 10-year or 20-year track record in making, manufacturing, and selling that particular product. Well, put that into the description. Let people know that, hey, your Amazon store might be new, but actually give them an indication that there's history there. These are parts of your kind of core profile that don't take terribly long to fill out. You might need to think about some of the text that you use, and you've got to be within Amazon's terms of service and the wording that you use, but it's pretty easy to fill out. A way to access this, and I won't demonstrate this for you now, but maybe you go on at a later time, is when you're browsing Amazon and you're looking at a particular product, over on the right of the page, you will see something like, well, you're going to see a big yellow Buy Now button. That's the button that you click on to actually add that product to your basket and eventually check out and pay for that product. But below that Buy Now button, you will see some additional text. And that text will be along the lines of, this product is fulfilled by, so that could be Amazon or some other name. And that some other name is usually the seller because they're shipping it out of their own warehouse. And it is sold by either Amazon, that's a separate use case, or the seller name. So in my case, all of my products are fulfilled by Amazon. So they look after all my logistics. That's the FBA, the Fulfilled by Amazon model. But it's sold by me. I'm ultimately responsible, and my business is ultimately responsible for supporting the product, supporting the client, the customer, and doing all the back-end compliance and statutory filings and so on and so forth that are associated with that particular sale. You can also influence policies. So maybe around returns. Maybe you're selling a food product on Amazon and you've got a particular product, a particular policy that will be compliant with foods, or maybe cosmetics or something similar like that. There will be categories of policies, and you can enter a certain degree of phrasing that will support each one of those categories around the policies that you offer to the seller. You can be absolutely transparent with that. By the way, I will just say in that bit under the buy box, the fulfilled by, okay, great. Sold by, if you click on that name, you will eventually get to the screen that we're talking about here. So sold by ABC Sellers, you click on that, and then you'll be presented with another screen that shows their logo, their descriptions, and so on. And you can tell when a seller has taken the effort to complete that and what they're saying. So it's a little vote of confidence for your customer. I alluded a moment ago to something called brand registry. Perhaps you have a trademark product, a patented product, a copywritten product. you would then qualify to sell within Amazon's brand registry. Now, there are different jurisdictions where you can copyright and patent and trademark all that. I'm not an IP lawyer, intellectual property lawyer, so I'm not going to go into the details. But there are relations on, well, if your product is protected in the UK, then your brand registry will be perfectly valid in amazon.co.uk. And then there are other case studies and cases for further afield. What this does is it gives you even further functionality and flexibility. It protects your product, first of all. So in many cases, you might have seen product available for sale on Amazon that are sold by multiple sellers. A great example will be in media. So I'm not sure who buys CDs and DVDs anymore. That probably dates me a certain amount. But if you go on and you're looking for a particular CD or DVD of a movie or a PS4 game or goodness knows whatever else, those are quite competitive spaces, and you will have multiple sellers in that marketplace. And it's all basically a race to the bottom in terms of pricing, because they're all undercutting each other. If you protect your brand and you own your brand, then you will be able to control who has the rights to sell product and who doesn't. So again, coming back to the media example, a lot of the large media companies are cracking down on that and saying, look, we don't want any third-party sellers selling our product. Really, it's going to be us as a big name media company that will have exclusive rights to sell this product. So something to watch out for. Once you've been approved for brand registry, you will have the ability to customize your own page. So think about some of the major brands out there on the high street around trainers or particular types of clothing, or maybe watches or so on. Go and look for some of those products that might interest you, and then click on to those brand names, and they will probably have done a really good job of mocking up a very attractive page, which will give you a range of products that they sell, not just the one that you're looking at, but maybe some other like-for-like products. Some of them will be seasonal. So think about garden furniture, for example. A lot of garden furniture manufacturers do indoor furniture as well. So as you get into the autumn and winter months, pardon me, they'll be selling indoor furniture. And then as we start emerging into February, March, and so on, they change over their page to advertise their garden furniture. So that's another bit of functionality that you can offer. Also, it enables you to build your brand. And in certain marketplaces like the United States, there is an almost Instagram-like facility that Amazon offers, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Pardon me. That enables you to actively promote your brand. We'll go on to the next page. All this can be quite overwhelming. Getting back to the point where Amazon is a $1 trillion organization. They've got multiple ecosystems within ecosystems. It's a huge, massive organization. Where do you get support? Well, your first starting point is going to be a one-to-one with me, right? But once you're set up, there are a number of ways that you can get support with Amazon. Once you've got your account, whether that's the individual account or the pro account, you'll have access to something called Amazon University or Amazon Seller University. That's a series of e-learning. I believe it's around 3 hours long, possibly 5 hours long, a collection of videos that are maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes each, really bite-sized piece of information, which will help you through all the steps of getting started on Amazon. Whether that's the advertising, or whether it's creating listings, or whether it's how to handle reviews or how to handle customer service, there will be little tutorials that will help you get started. And why not take that? It comes directly from the company that offers this platform. So they know best what they will tolerate and what they will invite on their platform. So that's a great starting point. There's a huge amount of text in countless tens of thousands of pages of FAQs, frequently asked questions, that's searchable. It's easy to find information in certain cases. It's a little bit more challenging in others. I will grant you that. But there is that content that does exist. Amazon, just like they have the customer support for when we buy a product off Amazon, they have seller support as well. Now, that seller support is trained and dedicated in a number of different areas, whether that's helping you get your shipment into Amazon, maybe that's 1 or 2 boxes if you're starting small. They will help you get your truckloads of shipments or pallets of shipments if you have more capacity that you want to send in. They will help you with the listings. They will help you with any brand issues. They will help you with your advertising, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there is a lot of support. Generally, it is pretty good. Generally, they will point you over to an FAQ. But what I like about their seller support is that it is fairly varied in how they offer that support. The nature of my world is that I do everything by writing. I will send in a ticket, I'll open a ticket for seller support, and I know that within 12 hours or 24 hours, depending on what type of ticket it is, I'll get a reply. Sometimes I'll need further clarification, so it then goes through the loop again. Sometimes it hits a weekend and I don't hear anything to Monday, but that's fine. That works for me. In other cases, you have a live chat, a text-based chat, and in even other cases, you can have a phone call. Now, you don't pay any long-distance calls to their seller support. They call you. So you request a call, and within seconds, your phone rings, and you're on the call to an agent. And they will know how much they can actually help you. So at some point, they will start off and they will say, okay, yep, I can help you sort out X, Y, and Z problem. In other cases, they might need to transfer it to a different department that's a specialty in whatever query you particularly have. Inventory. So we have a couple of options here for fulfilled by Amazon. And this paragraph is taken from the link right at the bottom of the page, sell.amazon.com fulfillment-by-Amazon. This describes FBA that we've referenced a couple of times in this presentation, fulfillment by Amazon. And this is the service that myself and many other brands use quite a lot. When I have product ready to go into Amazon, that presupposes that it's already in my Amazon catalog. So I log into my Amazon profile and there's a link that will take me over to my inventory page. Right now, I have something like 700 SKUs built in place into that. So SKU stands for stock keeping unit. It's an industry standard to give a unique code or unique value to every particular product that you might sell. If you have a t-shirt that's green color, it will be allocated 1 SKU. If you have exactly the same t-shirt that's red in color, it gets a different SKU. There's a number of ways to uniquely identify products, and SKU is one of those. Anyway, I've got about 700 SKUs, so some products that have variations in size, for example. I don't have them all in stock. Sometimes they're hard to source, those products. They're quite unique products. And other times it's a question of fundamentally placing an order from China and out come 1,000 units or 10,000 units, and those go directly into Amazon. So it's a wide range. All of those products are fulfilled by Amazon, with a few exceptions, meaning that a product that I'll have, let's say, gosh, I don't know, a mug, it will be specially packaged with its protective packaging, maybe some bubble wrap, maybe a cardboard box. It will have a barcode on it, so the code that you scan at the Tesco checkout. And it will have a unique identifier on Amazon. It will have its own listing. I will have gone through the effort to take photos and describe that product properly. I will then instruct Amazon. I'm going to say, look, it is now time for me to ship a certain amount of product into Amazon. And that will be a very quick and easy process. Amazon might say, you know what, that particular mug, well, it's a coffee mug. We're getting into a season where people are looking more for cold drinks rather than hot drinks. We think that you should only ship in 20 because we don't think that there's going to be a lot of demand. I may have 400 that I want to ship in. Amazon won't tell me no. They'll say, okay, well, fine. Maybe you know something that we don't. Maybe you're about to embark on a social media campaign, or you've got a famous TikTok influencer for this. Fine, that's great. So ship it in, go ahead. But I do find it quite handy that Amazon will at least attempt to make recommendations on how much quantity you should ship in. You'll then figure out what product it is and how many units and so on that you're going to be shipping in. Amazon will go away and think for a few seconds and say, okay, we then need you to box up the products like this. And generally they're pretty open. They'll say, look, is it all going to go into one box? Is it going to go into multiple boxes? Do you have other product to ship, et cetera? So they'll take all that into account. They'll say, fine, great, thanks very much. We're expecting all this product now. That's really good. We're going to generate you a couple of labels. One label you stick on the box to tell us what's inside the box. There's a barcode and a QR code and so on that they scan, that they will know what's in that box before they actually open it up. And then you have to put in that right product into that box. And then they'll generate you a label. So you can ship in with their partner courier, or partner carrier as they call it, which is UPS. So gigantic firm that has had a relationship with Amazon for years and years, as far as I can remember. So for example, there are occasions when I will ship in 3 or 4 boxes of, say, 15 kilos each, and fairly large boxes, maybe the size of a suitcase, each one. And UPS will charge me about £7 for that collection of boxes to ship on out. They'll come to collect from your home, from your warehouse, wherever it is that the stock happens to be. Even a remote warehouse. You might be based in Brent and you might have a warehouse in Essex. So you can arrange for UPS to go and collect from the warehouse in Essex, as long as the product is prepped properly, and take it off to Amazon. Within 2 to 3 business days, the product will be on the dock on Amazon and will be received by their receiving process, their logistics process, and will be taken and distributed across the shelves, or indeed other Amazon warehouses. Perhaps you've had the experience where you and a friend, maybe up in Scotland, are trying to order the same product. And on the screen, it'll say, oh, well, this product will come to you in London tomorrow, whereas the friend in Scotland will receive it in, I don't know, 2 days' time. And so, well, why? What's the difference? It has to do with where that product is located and how close to its customer it is. So you'll find that you'll be shipping product into Amazon warehouses, but you don't actually know where those are going to be distributed after the fact. So a few might be loaded into a warehouse quite close to London, and then the rest of your product will take another 2 to 3 days to get distributed across the country, to be close to customers in Manchester and Birmingham and Scotland and so on. That's fulfilled by Amazon. There's a lot more to it, but it's a really, really simple process. You do it a couple of times, it's very, very easy. None of this being on the phone to UPS to book and how big and all this sort of stuff. No. Amazon handled that very well. If you have an established label printer, a thermal label printer in your office, great. You don't need one. A4 printer is absolutely fine. So really, really easy to go this route. What I will say about FBA is that there is a cost available that's associated with it. You will have a cost for selling your product. That's a category fee, and that category fee ranges somewhere between 6 and 15%, depending on how popular that product is and what category it's in, what type of care needs to be taken by Amazon to ship it out and store it and so on. You'll have a fee to ship out your product, to sell your product, and you will also have a supplementary fee to store and ship your product. So that's the pick and pack fee. Someone needs to go around to the Amazon warehouse, it's robots largely now, that will take a package off the shelf, take it to a packaging center, box it, maybe put some of that crinkly paper in it, seal it up, label it, and ship it out the door. That obviously has a cost associated with Royal Mail or one of the other couriers. Fulfilled by merchant, this is your other option. So you can hold that in your warehouse. Your warehouse may be a 10,000 square foot establishment in Essex. It may be your back room, right? However it is that you define your warehouse. Fulfilled by merchant has a couple of benefits, particularly around cost. You're not paying for someone or a robot to go and pick a product off a shelf, but it means that you have to do it, right? You do not necessarily get the benefit of significant cost discounts that Amazon has with couriers and with Royal Mail, you now need to start thinking about who your most efficient courier is and the efficient sizing a box and packaging a box and so on and so forth, so that you can get the product out the door. You also need to think about the impact on your time. If it's 1 or 2 products a month and you happen to be passing a post office on your way to do something else, well, great, that's nice and easy. But the other thing is that if you're doing a huge amount of volume, do you really want to spend your entire day at the post office? I don't know. I chose not to do that. Now, something else to consider is if Amazon fulfills your product and it doesn't get to the customer, or it gets damaged, or there's an element of consumer fraud that happens, it actually gets delivered, but the customer claims it doesn't. That's Amazon's problem to deal with and does not hit my seller reviews. If I send anything out fulfilled by merchant, fulfilled by myself, fine, I can handle all the labeling and shipping and all that sort of stuff. That's not an issue for me. But if something goes wrong, or indeed there's customer fraud, I get the negative review, and there's not a thing I can do about that. It's deemed to be my problem. So that's something that I would also consider. And for the cost of a few quid more, or even a few pence more, I feel a lot safer going with the Fulfill by Amazon option. Another thing that Amazon do, unless you have a very sophisticated replenishment kind of alert system in place, well, if you've got the product in your back office, well, fine, you can have a look at the box or look on the shelf and see how much you've got. But maybe it's at a third-party warehouse facility, and you kind of got to know from their services how much product you have left. Amazon, a little bit similar in that way. They will give you product alerts. You will be able to log in at all times and see how much product is available. So you'll be able to watch your sales on a daily basis. And again, see where the stock transfers are. So you might have 100 units that you've shipped in, but only 5 units are available because the other 95 are in shipment across the country to other Amazon warehouses. We get into pricing. So you will have to determine your pricing. You'll have to think this through on what your pricing model is going to look like. There's obviously going to be your core product pricing itself. There will be Amazon's pricing. So how much does it cost in commission, in that catalog fee, to ship out a product, to sell a product? How much will it cost to fulfill that product? And they give you a rates card. It's relatively easy to find. If you Google Amazon UK rate card, then you'll get a recent rate card. I think the last one is about 4 or 5 months old. It's about a 9-page PDF document, and it will show you how much Amazon will charge you to pick, pack, and ship products. So you can see if it's worth your while to do so. You will need to look at how competitive you are in the industry. So maybe, like me, you're reselling another brand's products, and I'm competing against other sellers. There's a bit of a strategy involved that I take. I go in at slightly higher price, wait for everyone to sell out, and then I wind up selling my product at a higher price than everyone else was doing. I'm in a good position where I can do that. I don't necessarily need to convert that product to cash right now. So this is the approach that I take. But every model, every seller has a different approach. You'll also need to think about your profit, how much you want to make, and indeed what your returns rate is. What if a product does get damaged? You're going to get a chargeback. You won't be blamed for that product being damaged necessarily, but the charge will be reversed. The customer will get his or her money back, and that money's got to come from someplace. Someone has already shipped the product out. Someone has already stored it. You're going to be charged for that product. I sell a particular food item that retails for £9, give or take. That food item generally is quite popular. Generally, customers are very, very happy with it. It's a desirable item. People will buy it and consume it quite happily. On occasion, the product will come damaged, and that's not very nice. If you pay similar product in the grocery stores will be considerably less expensive. So if you're paying £9 for this particular product, you don't want it to come damaged. You want a proper product. There will be customer fraud. There will be issues where the box gets opened, someone takes a bite, and they're going to say, no, I never expected that this would be, of course. But I make about £1 on each sale. I'm sharing with you some confidential stuff here. Anyway, if I get a return, I now need to make a minimum of 9 further sales just to compensate for that one returned product. So this is something that you need to think about. Repricing tools. Again, in the competitive pricing situation, there are ways that you can compete against other products on pricing. And you don't have to be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, adjusting your prices constantly. There are automated tools, and there's some advanced AI in a lot of these tools that will help reprice products on the fly. I use one tool that makes about 4,000 or 5,000 repricing decisions a day against rules that I set. Very simply, those rules are, do I want to match the competitor's price? In which case, when person A, customer A, looks at the product, the product page the first time, they see my product, and when they reload the page, they see the competitor's product. Or do I want to price a penny below or 5 pence below or something? Or do I want to price above and force even the other seller to sell out? There are various tools that are available on the open market. They're not that expensive, but you can also use Amazon's inbuilt tools. They're forever building new tools for sellers. And quite a relatively recent 2 or 3 year development is this repricing tool where Amazon can help you implement your pricing strategy. Again, free of charge. We've talked a little bit about pricing factors, including cost, overheads, that sort of thing, product, return, and profit. I want to draw your attention to something we discussed a little bit earlier around promo codes and coupons. These mimic very much what you see on the high street and what other platforms offer. So you can very quickly and easily, without cost on Amazon, set up promotional codes where if a customer buys the red t-shirt, they can get the green t-shirt for a discount or for a percentage off, or they'll get 2 for the price of 1. Whatever your promotional strategy works. You can think about tying that into social media, which we'll talk about another time, in terms of offering discounts and offers and, again, promotions. You have sales opportunities. So your RRP, your regular retail price, might be £10, and you'll say, right, I want to offer my product for £8. So again, different tools that are available on the Amazon platform. Things called lightning deals as well. So maybe you've seen this as you've been buying close to a festive time, Halloween, Valentine's Day, Christmas, Prime Day, whatever, through the year. Amazon will encourage sales by inviting sellers to offer prices at significant discounts. In my case, a lot of my products are sold quite close to actual cost and quite close to margin. So a lightning deal where Amazon would ask me to maybe take a 50% cut to be able to have a more prestigious promotion of that product, that won't work for me, but maybe it'll work for you. So that is one option that you can have for these so-called lightning deals. Sponsored ads, that is a whole other area, that whole other ecosystem around ad buying, bidding for ad space, and so on the Amazon platform. So whenever you search on a product, I'm sure you've seen top of the page, bottom of the page, maybe down a sidebar as well, similar products to what you're searching for. It's just that those products and those sellers have bought ad space in those other areas to help promote and generate traffic, drive traffic to that. It's a sophisticated world with this sponsored ads. And it can be costly. There's what they call the automated ads and the manual ads. Typically, what you do with a product when you introduce it to the marketplace is that you run automated ads. You set a budget that's right for you. Could be a couple of pounds a day, could be a couple of £100 a day, could be a couple of £1,000 a day. It depends on how much you have access to. And you allow the Amazon algorithms to research that product and experiment with that product to try to figure out what the optimal keywords and optimal ways of attracting consumers to that product actually are. What then happens is after you've let that run for 2 to 3 weeks, you can then transfer some of those learnings into manual, where you get a lot more control of that product space, that advertising space. And you start limiting your ad spend just on the most successful keywords, the highly targeted, highly niche keywords. And often sellers run both at the same time because there will be peaks and valleys through the selling year. And perhaps Amazon algorithms will pick up keywords and sales words that you might not have expected. So quick additional question here. I'm doing a time check as well. Review questions. So choosing the right promotion, maybe make a note to yourself, what attracts you the most about Amazon selling opportunities and functionality? Is it the coupons to incentivize purchases? Would it be lightning deals for time-bound discounts, a discount that will flash up on the screen for 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, and that will drive traffic to your product? Or is it indeed sponsored ads that we just spoke about, paid for ads, PPC, if you will, to elevate your search rankings? I'll give you a moment to consider that, and we'll then move on. Okay. Reporting and metrics. This is quite a detailed area of the Amazon marketplace. If you're an existing Amazon seller, you'll know that you'll be able to go in and get practically any report you want. In the advertising space, you will be able to link the amount that you've spent on product ads to how many sales you actually achieve from that. You'll be able to adjust those figures. You'll be able to find out how many units you've sold, how much revenue you've derived from product sales, how many current open orders you have versus how many orders have actually been fulfilled and sold within the last 3 days, 6 days, 7 days, fortnight, month, and so forth. The reporting is fantastic. There is actually a way to get a daily kind of report on where your product is. If you've got multiple SKUs and multiple quantities of those products, chances are they're going to be someplace in shipment between one warehouse or another. And that's all controlled by Amazon. You never know about that. You never have any say on that until you actually pull this report and say, oh yeah, I've got some product crossing over between France and Germany right now. I've got some other product that's being shipped from Manchester to a Birmingham warehouse, whatever the case may be. It's absolutely fascinating stuff. You got performance benchmarks. So depending on what product category you are, you'll be able to compare against other categories, against maybe other sellers, against other sales periods. This is all very, very useful information to have at hand for your buying decisions. A lot of these products need significant advance notice to actually manufacture and ship over, maybe months. So we are now looking at the Q4, the fourth quarter, so that's October, November, and December 2024. We're now looking at stocking for that fourth quarter. We've only just had the festive season, the Christmas season behind us. And here we are in February. Valentine's Day hasn't even happened, and we're looking at Christmas once again. Gives you a slightly skewed conversation at home, I find. Your metrics. Amazon does require you to look at your account. Some of the accounts that I've seen that have failed or have been shut down or so on is simply because the seller has not followed the Amazon rules. You follow the rules and you'll be in the good books with Amazon. It's really, really that simple. What are those rules? Well, Amazon want to make money. Yes, they want to be Earth's most consumer-centric organization, but they really want to make money. And the way they make money is if you make money. So if you sell a product, they're going to get that little bit of commission. They're going to get that little extra fee from the advertising, a little extra fee from storage, and so on and so forth. They want you to sell more product. Their ideal is for you to ship a product in and immediately have that product shipped out the door to a paying customer, a satisfied, happy paying customer. Again, we had a similar example earlier in our conversation around how practical that is. There's a different dashboard that will show you the usage metrics. And that will be along the lines of how satisfied are customers, what sort of reviews are you getting, are there any intellectual property violations? Because don't forget, Amazon will be subject to the tax laws and the intellectual property laws of every country that they operate in. So they need to put some measurement in place to ensure that that those laws and rules are being followed. But this is an example of a dashboard that shows an okay inventory health. If you look at the line on the left, it goes, pardon me, it goes from, I've been talking all day, pardon me. It goes from red on the far left, meaning that that's the danger zone. You've got a problem. You've got too much product that is not being sold. You've got a lot of return product. You've got a lot of dubious, questionable product, or indeed into the yellow, into the green area, where, yeah, they're happy with your performance. At the bottom of that little screenshot, we can see the words excess inventory percentage. So Amazon is flagging this particular seller. It's not me. This particular seller and saying, hang on, you've overstocked. Those 400 mugs that we talked about earlier, we told you that you only needed 20 in stock. Why did you put 400 in there? So there are ways that you can take corrective action for that as well. But again, you need to know about what's going on before you can implement those corrections. Another quick review question here. Looking at the following aspects of an Amazon business, what interests you? Is it your sales targets? Is it your inventory turnover? Is it your product review scores, buy box percentage? So how frequently do you actually achieve the prominent and prestigious listing where a customer lands on your page and you as a seller and clicks buy and you get that order rather than the competition? Or is it your advertising click-through rates? So think about which two of those KPIs you would prioritize in benchmarking and monitoring. What is right for your business? Some businesses use Amazon as a test ground, as a lost lead. They don't really, it doesn't really matter in that sense how much money they lose on Amazon. They want to trial a new product. Organizations with deep pockets, obviously. Let's move on. Thinking about your content strategy, we've got this whole lifeline here from create straight through to optimize. And sorry for the US spelling there. Some of your discovery process can be about creating your rich listing. So notice you probably, as a buyer, have a lot more confidence when you hit a product page that has quite a few images, maybe a video, maybe an image or a PDF of usage instructions that you can download, or ingredients in a food product or cosmetic or something like that. A clear, easy to read title, clear information-rich bullet points, and a clear description that's a little bit further down the page. Even the technical details, how much it weighs and what the measurement is and so on and so forth. That's the seller that puts that in. And the more information you can give, first of all, you're giving more keywords for the buyer to search on, but also you're engendering that trust for the buyer that they have a really, really good feel. They can't touch and feel that product, so they need the next best thing. They need photos from a number of different angles. Maybe they need a video to show how exciting the product is. They need clear description. They need accurate description, because you don't want a customer that's going to return a product that says, this does not match the description that was put online. I bought a product based on that description. I expect to receive that product. Vine is a mechanism, mostly in the United States right now, that will allow you to take a lost lead on your product. So that means taking some product, shipping it in right now into the United States, and having that available for a community of users to purchase either at a complete 100% discount or some significant other discount for the purpose of giving you an honest review. So remember, Amazon is very, very strict around its reviews and review manipulation. It's honest reviews. So you want to make sure that you're putting a quality product out there with a quality description so that the honest review that comes back will be a 5-star review. Multi-channel, We're running a little bit out of time, so I'll just glance over this quite quickly here. Multi-channel fulfillment allows you to sell not only on the Amazon marketplace, but I'm sure you've been on various websites where there's not only the advertising, but also maybe bloggers or think about cooking bloggers who advertise, say, kitchen utensils or ingredients or things like that on their blog. But when you click to buy, that button drags in the information and the checkout box from Amazon. So this is just a way of using Amazon, using the Amazon ecosystem and best practice, but to cascade that through other sales channels and delivery channels. We talked a little bit about product analysis, about analyzing competitors. And again, this slide is really to highlight the fact that there is a lot of detailed information available to you, not only on Amazon, but indeed off Amazon, on Google. Google Trends is a really good one to identify how right and how suitable your product is. You might have a product, let's go back to the mug example, that you think is right for a specific purpose. The way I use a mug is for my coffee in the morning. I expect it hot, I expect it tasty. That's what a mug is for. But other people might choose to have tea. They might choose to have hot chocolate. They might even choose a cold drink to go in the mug. Whatever the case is, maybe I didn't predict that. Maybe I didn't think that through. And some of this product research in other marketplaces and in other venues will give you other ideas on how to sell your product. Popular categories, you're going to want to identify hot sellers. So many of you on this webinar right now will have an established product in mind. You will have gone through the effort, the product development, the protection, et cetera, of that particular product. But indeed, there may be some on the webinar who are open-minded and who are just exploring Amazon as a possibility of any product that you might be interested in selling. So it's to that audience that I would suggest go in and have a look at the different product categories. Where do you see a need? Where do you see a gap? Where do you see a lot of activity? Because remember, if you're going to be putting some upfront cost into sourcing and preparing and boxing and packaging your product and so on, you kind of want it to sell pretty soon thereafter. You don't want to have, back in the early days, I made the mistake of, and I've done this a couple of times, to source a quantity of products that takes forever to sell. I can do that. I am in a position to do that, but many are not. So you want to make sure that you've got a good chance of some good sellers there. Customer needs. This is where you'll be looking at your reviews, looking at your ranking on product sales. So down in the technical descriptions, you'll probably see on a product page that they will be ranked at different levels. And you know that if you have a low number, it means a higher speed seller. So if you're number one in the groceries category, then that's great. You're selling hundreds of units a day. If you're number 1 million, you'll probably struggle to sell 1 or 2 units a day. We talked a little bit about brand registry and some of the functionality and features that are available. This is a bit of a recap slide on that. So that's the more personalized page, the more dedicated page that's available to brand registered sellers. Those are the sellers that have some sort of intellectual property behind their product. So that would be a patent, a trademark, a copyright, that sort of thing. Brand stores. Here's an example of a brand store. I gave the idea earlier around furniture, garden furniture versus indoor furniture. But here we have coffee. Here we have gadgets for the kitchen. This will give you an example of the look and feel of what a brand store could look like. Advertising, we talked a little bit about sponsored ads, sponsored brands. So that's an extra layer of advertising available to brands. And indeed, sponsored products. So really drilling down and targeting a specific product rather than a category or a particular store. Sales reports, I think we've had a few examples of this, but it really is the big question on many people's minds. Great, I've gone through all this effort. I've done the listing. I've registered my brand. I've done all this. When am I going to start making money? The simple answer is that if everything is working as you've got it intended to work, I'll go on for a few more minutes. I realize I'm running a little bit over. My apologies for that. If everything is working as you've got it intended to work, a customer will buy a product. And man, when you get that first email, that first product that you've sold, that's such a buzz. That is really, really fantastic news. Amazon will take their fees out of it. Let's say you sell something for 10 quid. Amazon will take their percentage, let's say £1.50 off of that. They'll take whatever FBA fees out of that as well. That's the shipping fees. And then you will be left with whatever's left. In this example, maybe £7. That will be stored and captured by the Amazon system. And then after every fortnight, you will get a disbursement. So whatever money has been captured, there might be a couple of returns. So your pocket gets reduced a little bit. There might be a couple of storage fees, advertising fees, so that gets reduced a bit more. You might have some deferred purchases. People have put things in baskets in the previous sales period, but they happen to check out in this sales period. Great, that's fine. So that bumps up a little bit. There'll be a sum of money that gets dropped into your account. And then you'll need to work into your bank account. And then you'll need to work with your accountants to figure out, right, how are you going to disperse this? What's going to go back to your cost of goods? What's going to be to your other operational cost, to your profits, and of course, tax. We talked a little bit about where Amazon is active. This will give you a nice map in terms of where you might consider expanding. So maybe you start in the UK, go to the EU, go to the US, Canada, Mexico, and so forth. And finally, we're going to wrap up here. I did mention at the beginning of the presentation that there will be a chance to work with me and have some one-to-one sessions that are paid for by Brent. There's a limited number of these sessions available. But what I would ask before you do book on with me, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment, is to look at your top 3 action plans. So this can be a little scorecard for yourself. Have a look at, maybe jotting some thoughts down. What is it that you want? What type of seller are you? Are you just starting off in the e-commerce world and you're open to any suggestion? Great. What do you want to do to start refining that, maybe onto the marketplace, or maybe the Amazon marketplace, or maybe the Amazon marketplace isn't for you. You want to look at some other things. That's fine too. Maybe you're already established. Maybe you're part of a larger brand and you want to optimize. You want to leverage certain functionality. You want to expand. What is it going to be that's right for you? What are the top 3 things that you want? So maybe you just might want to take a screen capture of the screen and start making some private notes for yourself over the next few days about what your action plan might be. I'll move on to the next slide. I will just say that we do have 2 more webinars in this series. One is on the 20th of February, so that's 2 weeks from tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you come back for the next one. And that one is online marketplaces and platforms. So we'll be looking at things like perhaps eBay and Facebook and possibly Google Shopping. We'll be looking at a few of those. We'll be looking at setting up Shopify accounts. We'll be looking at maybe non-products. Maybe you're in services. Maybe you're in food services or professional services. Where would you go to market and promote your services that way? So that'll be another hour-long webinar on that topic. The third one will be growing your e-commerce business. That's about 4 weeks from now. That's on the 5th of March. Again, same Tuesday sort of evening time frame. And that will be looking at how you can maybe start with your Amazon store and bolt on to others. How do you make a connection to allow Amazon and eBay to work as one? How do you leverage artificial intelligence? We're saving that for the last session as well, to optimize and speed up your business. So those are some of the things that we have coming forward. As I say, over the next couple of months, we are running these free one-to-one sessions with myself. So this is for 25 Brent-based companies only. So you need to be based in Brent, living or working or trading your registered company in Brent. So one of those categories. And on the next slide, I'll show you some further supporting information. On the left, you'll see a Calendly link, and we'll make sure that we get this out to you anyhow. This is where you can book with me. So when you click on this link, you'll get to my diary. Right now, it's showing some pretty good availability, but it's going to start blocking up pretty soon over the next few weeks. So I do encourage you to get in there early, please. And I'd love to meet you. I'd love to have a one-to-one session. It'll be a rapid session, so we'll have two 45-minute sessions, and we're going to be filling out this action card. So I'll have a sheet that looks like this on the right, and we'll help you focus your e-commerce aspirations and where you want to take your business over the course of 2024. And that's my last slide. I'd like to turn over back to, Lisa. Can I just ask, are there any questions that have come into chat?
No, not really. There's just one that is asking, is that just for the USA or UK as well? I think that's the product reviews and sales reviews
That's a
at
great
launch
question,
stage.
AK. Yeah, thank you very much. So AK's question is, PPC is costly. Product review and sales revenue, is this at the launch stage? And specifically, is this for the USA or is it available in Canada, in the UK as well? I'm taking those as three separate questions, and I'll answer them now as three separate questions. PPC is costly. Yes, it is. So you do need to consider advertising for an advertising budget. Remember, I might have glossed over this a little bit too quickly, but there are two PPCs out there. So there's one PPC, of course, in the Google space, in the Facebook space, Instagram, et cetera, where you can buy advertising and direct traffic to product pages. The other one is within the Amazon world itself. There is what they call sponsored ads. It's effectively PPC, but it's a lot more targeted. Remember how I said earlier in our conversation about Google, someone going onto Google, they're probably going on to research and they're probably clicking on PPC. There are probably a lot of wasted clicks there. A lot of very valid clicks as well, mind you. It is an excellent source of traffic, but probably a few wasted clicks. In the Amazon world, you're going to get a much higher chance that that click is going to turn into a sale. And also don't forget that you can limit your budget. So there's some campaigns where I've put hundreds of dollars or hundreds of pounds a week on that campaign, and others where it's just been a couple of quid a day. So whatever's right for you. We can talk a little bit more about budgeting and one-to-ones. I'm happy to do that with absolutely everyone. But yeah, you do have a little bit more control over that. Product review and sales growth. I'm glad you're linking that into revenue and launches and so on. Yes, absolutely. So there are really a few components that will go into your listing itself. There's something that Amazon call an A9. I believe it's now upgraded to an A10 algorithm, and that is kind of a secret sauce that enables the product placement and the listing placement of various products. Yeah. That's a number of things. So first of all, it is the listing itself. How many high quality photos, or do the photos follow the rules that Amazon has laid out in terms of formatting and backgrounds and so on? Do you have a lot of descriptive text? Have you taken the trouble to fill out all the crazy individual detailed questions that Amazon is asking? How big is the product and how heavy is the product and what shade of blue is the product, et cetera, et cetera. All that counts. Your pricing counts and the longevity of your product counts. Of course, if you're starting off, that will be difficult. So it will be difficult to launch onto Amazon. But it's not impossible. I mean, everyone has to start someplace. The reviews are important, and we can discuss ways of obtaining those reviews and driving traffic in a legitimate way that follows Amazon's terms of service. That's really, really key. Legitimate way that follows Amazon's terms of service to buy your product. We can discuss some strategies around that. Is that for the US or for the UK? In fact, it's all the marketplaces. So that works. What I've just said works for all the marketplaces. But the US is the oldest of all of the marketplaces. Australia is the newest of all the marketplaces. And actually, I would argue Turkey is the newest as well. So there's varying degrees of functionality that's available in each one. USA, very definitely, very far mature. And other, UK is very strong, Germany is very strong, and other marketplaces maybe not so much. So not all functionality exists everywhere. So the Australian advertising platform is not quite as mature as what we see here in the UK. I hope that answers your question. So are these one-to-one sessions provided by Brent? I've had a question from Dallin. Yes, they are provided by Brent, and they are free of charge. So those 2 sessions that each of 25 businesses will get, one-to-one with me, are completely free of charge. Absolutely. Raja has a question around having an Amazon account closed down. Yes, I'm not going to get into the detail of that right now, but I've got some ideas for you. Please book a one-to-one session. Every case is different. Yeah, I'd like to know a little bit more about your case, and I don't want you to share that information publicly right now. So yeah, please do book a one-to-one. Catherine, using Amazon to dropship for eBay. Yeah, so Catherine has a question around risking about using virtual assistants. So I've been very, very lucky in my virtual assistants. So that's hiring people who are not core to your business, who are not maybe in the same office or in the same space as you. Virtual assistants can be anywhere in the world. I've used VAs here in the UK, Canada, US, and even further afield. There is an art to hiring VAs and, of course, working with them on a regular basis. Catherine, absolutely, let's book one-to-one sessions. What I'll do, if you bear with me for a moment, I'll grab the link and I'll put it here so you can start clicking on that link in chat. AK is asking a follow-up, isn't product selection key as well? If you go into a saturated market, you're most certainly doomed from the beginning. Yes and no. Yes, you are absolutely right. Think about how competitive and difficult it might be to introduce a new packet of crisps or a new cola or something into a fizzy drink or something into a Tesco or Sainsbury's. Yes, very competitive. However, start looking at that competition. Has that competition been lazy about their product listings? If they haven't done their photos right, if they haven't done their listings properly, and you can do better, and maybe you start with a small quantity of product, whatever your budget allows for, maybe it's worthwhile for you to go in and dominate that market just because you can do listings better. Amazon loves high quality listings. And if the listing is good, yes, ideally you need the reviews and ideally you need the price point and so on and so forth. But if the listing fundamentally is good and creates trust with the buyer, then you're going to rank that much further up. Catherine, your question. So Catherine's question is, what is the cost of subsequent sessions? I'll have a discussion with you on that. I'd like you to be happy with the first 2 sessions, of course, obviously. I will be available for private consultancy after your 2 free one-to-ones, if that's a route that you want to take. But I'm happy to have one-to-one conversations depending on your needs and where you're going with that. Don't forget, there is a huge amount of information available online as well. There's a lot of sellers who have some great videos. I can point you to a few when we talk on a one-to-one basis. I'm, of course, happy to advise again during our sessions. Okay, so let me put that link in just while I do. Are there any other questions? Whoops, we'll do this. Last chance to ask questions before we wrap up and I give you your evening back. So I'm just going to copy this into... There we go. Whoops, did that copy? Okay, there we go. So please do make a note of that. If you're not ready to book just yet, just please copy the link. That link is going to disappear when we close down our chat. So maybe put that into a notepad or a Google Keep note or something like that, and book with me when you're ready. Next week's availability is there. It is half term, but I do still have some availability, mostly in the afternoons next week. And then the week after, of course, I've got some fairly good availability as well. I'd love to meet you. Love to have a chat with you. I'd love to help you, get your Amazon and e-commerce journey either to the next level if you're selling there already, or kicked off if this is something new for you. So I assume there are no more questions, and I want to thank everyone for your time this evening, your patience, and your feedback, and I wish you a very good evening.